Terry, Brandon, and Darian will probably be joining us later. But we are just going to do a follow up to last month and whatever else comes up, it looks like. But Jonathan's going to lead us in this conversation. I'm excited to see what happens.
What up with it, y'all? I am Jonathan Caesar, owner and counselor at Green Shore Counseling. So first, we're gonna make sure everybody tap in. Terry T, could you go ahead and introduce yourself for us?
I am Terry Terrell out of Wichita, Kansas. I am LMSW owner of Odyssey Counseling Consulting, doing good work, helping people figure out their mental health and their lives.
All right, then we got Mr. Vasquez over here. We up.
What's up? What's up? Name is Brandon Vasquez. I am the owner operator of We Up Counseling and Consulting, licensed in DC and all of Texas.
All right. Then we got the doctors. The doctors in the building. We're gonna Dr. T, you already kind of introduced yourself, but Dr. K, let's get it going. T and K, TK.
Hi, I'm Dr. Carissa, Dr. K. I am the co-owner, co-founder of Doster and Hoffman Therapy and Consultation, PLLC. Apparently, I have to say that. In Arlington, Texas, based, but we are 100% virtual and serve the entire state. We also have some out of town folks or out of state licensed folks too, but mostly Texas.
All right. I forgot to say I'm in Houston, man. So me and Brandon both in Houston. So check us out.
Mm-hmm.
Licensed in all the Texas. Brandon in DC too. All right. So today, anyway, guys, today we're gonna follow up. Last month the conversation was around Black mental health. I was not in attendance for last month, but on my morning walk, um, part of my mental health journey, I was listening in and I got to hear everyone talk about Black men's mental health. I thought it was great. Right. Now, something that stood out to me towards the end of that conversation was about vulnerability. Dr. T brought up a question. I don't want to butcher the question if you remember it. What was the question you brought? You don't remember? I kind of know.
It was
Um,
something along the lines of I was curious as to when the first time the men on the panel was able to be vulnerable with the woman outside of family, or who was the first woman. And I think somebody mentioned Brandon, I believe it was his wife. Um, and I don't remember the rest of the answers, but when was the first time you were able to be vulnerable with a woman?
okay, thank you. Right. And that's kind of what I remember as well. So as I was walking and as I'm listening to it, when you first asked it, because I wasn't a part of it, so in my mind, I'm like, what would I say? I was stuck. Right. I was stuck. I was like, damn, who was the first woman? Then I kind of thought it through. But as I was listening, I wasn't watching it. It sounded like they were kind of like trying to figure it out too. They had to kind of like think through it. Like, man, was it my mom? Was it this? And I thought about it. And I think for me, it was my wife, right? But it wasn't my wife in 2015, 2016 when we first got together. It was my wife like a couple years ago. After several years of marriage,
Yeah.
I became more vulnerable along the way. Right? Nothing she did because she's awesome. She like been holding me down the whole time. But for whatever reason, I was able to become more comfortable. So it made me think. I was like, damn, why I'm like that? Or why are most men like that? Right? That was a thought I had. And what I came up with, I'm gonna need the women to help me with this one. Okay? Because I feel like women are more aware, right? For whatever reason, they're more aware. So more aware of like, and this is why I think they're more aware. So women like literally, okay, this is gonna sound crazy, but they literally change, right? Women change. So women literally are look one way and they physically change. Their entire body changes. Their whatever the hormones and everything, all of that changes. Their emotions like change. So I have daughters. They're always taught to be aware of your physical body, be aware of your emotions, be aware of your reactions to things. And as men, I don't really feel like I was taught to be aware, right? I just kind of do what I wanted to. But I ain't really have to. I feel like girls have to be taught this because like you have to be taught like them shorts was cool when you was 9. They not cool no more when you 14. I have daughters. I'm just saying. So before we jump into anything, I wanted to ask the women, am I on to something here? I just want y'all insight with that because I don't know. This is just what I thought. even though this is men's mental health, but women are a part of our life.
Yeah, I think that is a good point that I didn't really think about when we were having that conversation last month. Was that um, we are really taught to be more aware of our surroundings and things like that from a protection standpoint, right? Like you guys are taught to be in a way aware as in you are the protector, but it's more so like, do I need to brace myself or like attack rather than, you know, protect myself as in my emotions and be aware of your surroundings and things like that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like an external versus internal. Like men are conditioned and like to be able to, like, you should be worried about the external. And women are more so like, oh, you're developing breasts, you have a period, you need to, like my body hurts. Um, like I need to be able to express how I'm feeling internally based on how my body is developing. And I think, Jonathan, I've never thought about that, like the way you just put it. And I think you're right. I think women um, were taught indirectly to pay attention more to our bodies. Um, Whereas boys and men are trained to be more externally aware of what's happening outside of their bodies. Um, but I also think too that doesn't always equate to emotion, because then it's like no matter what, boy, girl, man, woman, whatever, um, you're constantly told like, but don't feel that feeling though. Like it's not appropriate to feel anything negative. And so it's okay, well, once a man tries to internally feel something, that's where that vulnerability becomes, I think, scary, right? Like, okay, well, now you're telling me that I have a safe space to feel with this person, but I don't know how to utilize that space until you become comfortable enough to do it. Like you just said, like your wife of years, you just started becoming vulnerable with in a comfortable way. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I don't give a fuck. Like I'm gonna feel how I'm gonna feel.
But that's kind of the point I'm making, is that because at such a young age, you're learning how to express. You like women are always expressing their emotions. They're like you expressing how they feel, expressing feeling unsafe, expressing like you're taught like to express how you feel, express what you are. We not really taught that. So you get to a place where you end up in a situation and like it's not like I was uncomfortable with her. It was just the fact that I
Right.
didn't have the tools to be vulnerable.
Yeah, there's parameters around that though, I think. Like feel how you feel, kind of. Like it's okay for a girl to cry, but not really for a boy to cry.
I
But
was
then
gonna
at some point it's like, don't be crying all like that. That's a lot.
It's an ick.
Yes.
Well,
wanted to I wanted to throw something out there. She made a good point though. But one of the things you said stands out because women may express that out more outwardly, but there's also more acceptable spaces for them to do that, right? If me and you are having a conversation with a bunch of guys and you do actually start feeling some type of way and you want to express that emotion, we already know in our head that that's a no-no. And if I do, there's immediately consequences for expressing that causes us to go back inside, push all those emotions back down because we understand that it's not a safe space. I did have a follow-up question for the ladies though, because we often talk about the men, and the question was, at what point did we feel vulnerable being, sharing things with the woman? So my question to the ladies is, at what point did you understand that it was maybe a personal responsibility of yours to become a safe space?
Yesterday.
Thanks for the honesty.
That's a great question.
Appreciate the
Terry.
honesty. It is.
And I know, I think that for me is, and I think this is personal, different personally for every woman, just as this probably question is different for every man. But for me, it wasn't until I realized how I was raised. My mom was a single white mother raising Black children by herself for the most part. Um, and so my mom didn't really have the space to emote in the ways that she probably could have if she had a safe space to do that. But I learned that, and that once you get to a certain threshold, you don't show weakness or you don't show vulnerability, and you can't trust people with your emotions. So honestly, that probably didn't happen to me. If you ask my husband, whom I love very much and who loves me very much, that probably didn't happen for me until earlier this year. And I turned 37 this year. And so it wasn't until I realized how closed off I was without recognizing it that he couldn't be all the way vulnerable with me. He could only go so far and then he would shut down. So I, as his wife of 5 years, wasn't even creating a super safe space for him. It was only to a certain extent. So for me, very recently.
Man, that's real.
Mhm.
That's real. I appreciate that transparency.
It's interesting because I said years into my marriage as well. Like it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we don't have enough of those type of conversations because it always puts somebody on the defensive, right? I feel like there's always this responsibility of the other person that you're with, that if there's some type of default or something with me, then the other person is looked at as it's their responsibility to be that safe space for them. But I don't think that there's enough safe spaces or enough people who are taught, especially us and our ethnicity, taught how to be a safe space for each other.
Absolutely.
I would even go further and say that not only are there any safe spaces, but we also don't want to be able to recognize it. So, like, what if we do have had safe spaces, and like, the situation that was true in the past is not necessarily true in the moment anymore, but you
Yeah.
still have those defenses up. What lets you know that, like, okay, I can, saying, be vulnerable here because it's open, it's available, it's safe.
I
Yeah.
also think too, it's like, Brandon, like what for me, for instance, it was like I thought I was a safe space. And so to hear that I wasn't put me on the defensive, but because I have been, working on myself throughout this, I was able as the partner to say, like, okay, maybe this is, you know, maybe I do have work to do still in this area. And it was triggered by something my husband said to me. He was like, I feel like I'm on an island.
Mm.
Mm.
And I was like,
The Bahamas? No.
yeah, I was like, oh, an island without me? What do you mean you feel like you're on an island? Like we're here together, but like once he said that, something clicked to me. And I was like, what do you mean you feel like you're on an island? And I just like started crying because I was like, I don't want you to feel alone and I don't want you to feel like you're on an island. And what can I do to, like, I don't know, join you on the island and we leave our kids on the mainland and come back for them every once in a while? Or are you trying to come back to the mainland? Like, what do you want to do? Because I'll do it.
Lead the
And
kids.
so it was like, you have to be internally ready to receive people's vulnerability just as much as people have to be willing to be vulnerable.
And
Mhm.
I
agree with
agree. I think it's a little different from me. So for me, I think I need to ask the men around me if I'm a safe space, right?
mm,
Because I think that I am, and I think that I learned that I needed to be pretty early. So I think I've mentioned before, I'm the baby of the group, but I'm the only girl. So I have been nothing but had to learn to be safe, um, because I only been around boys. And
Yep.
so, like, me and my brother, we're tight. And so there's never a time where he can't come to me. We can't have conversations and things like that. And I see that with other people in my life too, where, if something's going on, they feel comfortable to have that conversation with me. And so I think I need to ask if I'm a safe space for the men in my life, though. But it was very young when I realized that I needed to be a safe space. Uh,
Dr. T, I want to ask you this, right? Because you say you've asked the men, are you a safe space? A lot of what I hear from women, right, even from men too, I'll say that, is a lot. I can speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for other people. Sometimes we don't know. We don't know what we need. We don't know what we're looking for. We don't know where we're going. So even if you ask that and a man says yes or
well,
no, how do you know?
so in this conversation, I'm using that language, right? But if I was talking directly to someone in my life, I would say, "Do you feel like you can share secrets with me? Do you feel like you can, if there's a hard time in your life, do you feel like you can come to me and depend on me to be there for you?" Right? I think questions like that will get us to a answer if they feel like I'm an actual safe space or not. Because if somebody says no, then I'm not being a safe space for him. And so now I need to see, okay, what do you need for me to show up in that way? Like, how can you, or how can you gain the trust in me for me to show up for you the way you need? Um, but yeah, I think that you're right. There are a lot of men who don't even know what a safe space is.
Yeah, I feel like they'll just be like, yeah, 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 you good. And then it's like, do you even know?
No, that's true. That is true though. And
Mm-hmm.
that's very specific to like different cultures. To like black people, not just men, will tell you real fast that they're good. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
okay, cool. Yeah, you're great.
right.
Because when you're asking that question, when you're asking that, are you okay? We hear like, are you capable of continuing on to do the
Mhm.
thing? Like, if you say anything other than I'm good, you're pretty much saying like, I am incapable of moving forward, leave me behind, type of
No
situation.
weakness, no vulnerability
Yeah,
mindset.
yeah. My leg broke, but I can still get from point A to point B. I'm good. I'll walk it off.
Dirt on it.
Yeah, yeah. That's
I
literally been
don't like
said. That the people. That's the actual thing that people would be saying.
It
Put
really
dirt on it.
is.
Like,
It
that's
really
not
No,
bullshit.
that's crazy shit. You're right. That's some crazy shit. Like somebody father will actually be like, hey, put dirt on it. Like,
Put
what?
dirt on it. Yeah, walk it off. Walk it off. I'm in pain. No, you ain't. Walk it off. Have
one
you
of the
trust in?
that's very much so a boy thing. Like
That's an
because
asshole thing. That's what
you
it is.
see that you see that in some
Yeah.
homes, single parent homes with the mothers too, though, that have to be tough for the kids too, though.
yeah, my mom used to tell us, we used to be like, "Oh, mom, my stomach hurts." She'd like, "Drink some water and take a shower. You'll be all right." What?
I
You
tell
Yeah.
should
my
put some castor oil.
You know what? Speaking of the single home things, like so even listening last week, I was listening and I'm like, yo, my experience was so different than y'all's experience of growing up because I did grow up in a single mom home with like no male influence, right? So I wasn't getting the you gotta be tough or put some dirt on it. I was being coddled. I was kind of passed through real easily. I didn't get any of that tough stuff. So like y'all, I forgot what y'all was talking about last week, but it was something like y'all were being taught like to be this like strength or something. What about the guys who weren't? Like where do
Mm.
they land?
I think the culture also shapes you as well. I think if you went out into, maybe if you didn't have direct men in your life, if you went out into the world on a pretty consistent basis, the expectation and information that you would draw from that would cause you to conform.
Yeah, so there was like societally, yes, you know to be a man. Like I was talking about walking on the outside, it's just certain stuff that I feel like was innate. Like I just did, right?
Yeah.
But y'all also talked about the learned part, like the being. No one ever taught me like do this because this is what a man does. It was just kind of like figuring out along the way. And I know I'm not alone.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of men, I think they learned what to do by finding out what they couldn't do.
Ooh,
Right. So I don't think there was always healthy teaching components in our lives. Well, I'm speaking for me and a lot of the men that I know. There wasn't a lot of healthy components that were teaching the right things. Instead, what you did is you adapted because of the consequences of the things that you endured in the environments where men were.
like trial and error.
Pretty
Mhm.
much.
What you mean the environments where men were?
Okay, so let's just say you got the sports bar. You get a phone call or something, find out somebody died or something really happened. You get emotional. In that space, around surrounded by men, you're not going to do any crying. You're going to do a bunch of crying and being vulnerable. And if you do, there's going to be, if not immediate consequences, there's going to be some type of consequences that says, hey, you don't do that in this space or a space
Mhm.
where men are, right?
Yeah, I get that. I get that for sure. So you just kind of learn from just get it on. You're gonna find it either way, whether somebody
You're gonna
explicitly
find it.
teaches it to you or
Hmm.
you just beside other men. You're gonna learn that this ain't okay.
I feel like it's mostly observational. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
I don't recall anyone saying like, here, hey Brandon, here son, here, this is the lesson I'm teaching you right now. You know what I
Right.
mean? This is you know you see something and usually the hardest lessons are after you fuck up and you get your ass beat or what have you, and then you get told don't do this, which means do this instead. They don't tell you what to do; they tell you what not to do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If that makes
Reading,
sense,
yeah,
which is
reading the
That's
room.
yeah, which is
that's kind of like how we like parenting. Like
mhm.
I just recently learned like through Montessori, it's not no, like it's the redirection, that positive redirection. So like if you don't want your kid jumping on the couch, you don't say stop jumping on the couch. You tell them what you want them to do, right? Like, hey, let's get on the floor and we jump on the floor.
Oh well, that's the ideal version. That's not. You just get
Right.
ass beat. Don't jump on
Nobody,
the couch.
nobody, exactly. And so I think too, it's like we want to be able to lead with that, like positive or what's it called? Gentle
Positive reinforcement.
parenting or
Oh,
whatever.
Parenting.
That
But
ain't
like the
gentle. That is just
reality is,
normal shit. That should be the norm. That should be the norm.
It
yes.
should. It
And
should.
it's like, but it's not, right? And
But
I saw like every time I see the meme of like or gentle parenting requires gentle kids. I'm like, yeah, I ain't got those. Like, I ain't got gentle kids. But also, it like kind of goes back to Terry talking about environment. It makes me wonder, Jonathan, where did you grow up?
In Houston, what you mean?
Like, you grew up in Houston, in Texas.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about like, because I grew up in Wisconsin and how different it is.
Wisconsin.
Oh no, we was in the city, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I grew up pretty much, you could qualify where I grew up as rural.
Mm.
But like, I think about Black culture being different there than down here. So even like you could be the same from the same group of people based on, your phenotype or whatever, but where you grow up environmentally is different.
I mean,
And
sure.
so like I think about my friends that I grew up with in high school on the track and field team in the summers. Those kids lived completely different lives than I did, and we're only an hour away. And like their upbringing looked totally different than mine. And I think like when we would go around like my white family, it was very different than being around my Black family. Whereas I, as a child, there was no kid table with my white family. There was no grown folks
Mm.
area
I
with
grew up with all the black shit,
wherever.
all the sayings, all the things, all the black stuff. Yeah, we definitely lived that
Mhm.
lifestyle.
Yeah, but then we would go to this other, we would be surrounded by like all of our Black extended family, right? Like our chosen family because we were in this track and field family. I had to get real used to like, you can't be up under your mom all the time. And I would be like, well, that's my emotional support. Like, I got to be up under her. So I think it's also too like Black men who are raised by single parents, it also depends on the culture you're raised under, like within, in terms of your environment. So, like Milwaukee kid versus Houston kid, you
It's
show up at the same college, you're going to have totally different experiences, even though you grew up with a single parent.
You're right.
That's a good point.
yeah.
I got Black and Latino influences. So I spent time in Puerto Rico, so I
Oh,
saw that. You know, what I mean, it was interesting. You know, with the Latino, they're about 20, 30 years behind on some social things. You know what I mean? Like, um, so yeah, it was very interesting. But both sides got kids tables. You know, kids stay in their child's place. You know what I mean? Don't talk back. You know what I'm saying? You know, super respect to everybody because they older than you type situation. Even though if you know they wrong,
Just in different languages.
they both beat. They both beat. But that's colonial. That's slave master type. You know,
Yep.
anti-blackness shit.
so
Yeah.
real quick, just to add on to this, like what y'all talking about with the cultural things, it's making me think about like, is vulnerability or struggle with vulnerability, is that a black man thing or a man thing?
No, I think that's a man thing.
That's a man thing.
I think it's a man thing.
I think that's a people thing.
Yeah, I think it's
Mhm.
I
Trust at the end of the
definitely
day.
think it's societal, right? Because in our society, we are taught that you have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you're not supposed to be this emotional about things. You just need to work and, make it happen. That's, so I think that it's it's a societal pressure that we have to not be vulnerable to get what
I think it's white supremacy. To be honest with you, if I'm really thinking about it, because that whole stiff upper lip, you know, what I'm saying, be what I'm saying, be super productive at all times. What did I come? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Wait, say that again.
You
Y'all,
read
I can make myself laugh. What?
What happened? Who we talking to?
nothing.
What happened? Well, you said I answered your question for Terry.
Oh,
Um,
Oh yeah, the
That's why
misunderstanding.
we was laughing at that.
okay.
He's trying to say it come
And
from
you
white
missed,
supremacy.
you missed what I'm talking about. Okay, let me
Yeah,
give
yeah, yeah. She was reading that.
it. Okay, yes. I'm saying that I think it's a man thing, but I also think it's a people thing. But then I was like, I think this might be like a white supremacy thing. To be honest with you,
absolutely, it
because
is.
that whole stiff upper lip, you know what I'm saying, be productive at all costs. You know what I'm saying, like be very individualistic. You know, like I feel like that's very like white supremacy, like colonizer type of mentality. And the
Yeah,
fact that you can see that behavior exists in pretty much everywhere that was colonized, it kind of tells me
yeah,
that there's probably a through line there.
I also think that is a direct beeline to the black male
Mm-hmm.
specifically, right? Like that was the colonizers' main goal was to find the strong part of the family unit in terms of physical strength and ability and decrease it to nothingness. Like make sure that the what they perceive as strength is not it's not followed by the rest of the people.
yeah,
um and so it was then that was diminishing of black men, mentally and physically, which then made the black woman take on more responsibility to, keep up whatever it was needed that, this has diminished. And now the woman has to be mentally and emotionally strong for the family while her husband continuously gets beat down physically and mentally and emotionally, which is why our dynamics are like they are now. Like black women, I don't need no man. You do, you do, you do. I don't need no partner. You do, you do. Because that's how the world works, actually. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like, partnership is important. It's part of being a human.
Yo, I want to ask something real quick though. What does the black woman need from us?
To fix my alarm.
No, so we can do that. No,
She needs new battery in
yeah,
her.
I was about to say, I
I
haven't
wanna
heard
hear
no
that.
chirping. I haven't heard no chirping. I haven't
Listen,
heard no chirping.
listen. We can change light bulbs. We can replace a tire. None of this physical shit that the same
Build a
supremacists we
house.
talking about made
Go
us
build me
do.
a house from scratch.
Like nah, real shit.
Second.
Like what does
Build a house from scratch is crazy.
we was doing that too, but what does a black woman need
Building
from us?
log cabin
Because
houses. Where have you seen the house from back then? Which is one room.
Right. No, thank you.
Shack. A shotgun house at best.
Honestly, Jonathan, I think it's kind of what we're talking about. Being able to trust, giving us the space to trust ourselves and to be vulnerable and to learn who we are, while you simultaneously do the same, so we can come together and actually be the powerhouses that, Black and brown people can be in a world that constantly tells us we're not. And so I think it's a combination of, let's do our own individual work so we can come together and figure out how to do our together work as well. I don't think enough Black men go to therapy. I don't think enough Black men find a good therapist to help
put your
them.
hands, guys. There's 3 here, by the way. Yeah. Tap
And
in.
that is something that I want Black men to know, is that don't just go to therapy. Find one that actually does well. Find a therapist who understands at least one of your intersections. Blackness, that could be, you find a Black female therapist. Male, you could find a Black male therapist. They exist. Like, this is not weird that there are 3 Black men, really 4, part of this panel. They're not, okay, y'all are kind of unicorns a little bit.
Say,
Ain't too many.
Randy, can we post a picture? We just took a picture. 4 Black therapists outside Midtown
Like,
Houston.
is that something we can? I don't know
I don't even know if we can put it on here, but if 4 of us
Yeah, we
together,
post it up. Like,
can't be no unicorn. It can't be a unicorn.
Whatever.
I think that's just an excuse. Now, you know what? Matter of fact, I got on psychology today to go find me, right? Because I'm like, y'all got to be able to find me. I was on page 8.
Yeah, I know.
I seen London. I seen a whole bunch of people. How I'm on page 8? How you gonna
I
find
know.
me?
You gotta
What page I was
update your profile and it puts you back to the top.
You
All
gotta
right, cool.
update
I'll
your
push my
profile
picture
and
up.
pay them more money.
I'm just saying, we out here, and people. It's hard for people to find us, but we ain't that hard to find. But damn, they I'm on page 8, bro. Just click the page 8, come find me.
Traumatized about this page 8, ain't he?
Ridiculous. But I also think, like, also on the flip side of that, Black men hold Black women accountable to their mental health too. Don't gaslight them, but make sure that you are also seeking a woman who is mentally and emotionally healthy too. And if you don't know how to do that, ask your therapist that you should be going to.
Yes, and also let's talk a little bit more about this accountability part.
Brandon, don't start with me.
I'm not going red pill on y'all.
Okay,
Chill out, relax. I'm just saying.
I'm giving olive branches and shit over here.
No, so here's the thing. Culturally, Black community, we recognize very matriarchal, like low key. Women got the most power. Black women got the most power within their within the community than I feel like any other woman in whatever their communities got going on. What Latinos, I feel like they kind of run shit too. But how do you tell a woman that they're wrong? Like, it's so ingrained in us to shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Don't countermand, the woman so low key. Like, how do you even know, or how do you even like build up to that to be like, yo, you are wilding right here? and being able to stand on your square, because it's like I feel like there's like an instinctual, well, it ain't that bad, you know what I mean? Like kind of automatically just kind of like giving y'all like a little bit of grace to kind of wild out a little bit, unless you're putting hands on people.
I
That's the
think
only thing that gets you immediate reaction.
I think
Usually.
that,
Don't
Even
say
then. And even
don't
then.
say you're wrong or you're wilding out. Don't use
Yeah.
those words.
but look, hold on. Dr. K pointed it out, right? It's about the individual work. So I do feel like if we both doing the individual work, we're gonna learn how to communicate with
Hopefully.
ourselves. So then hopefully we can sit down and have that conversation, and it's not like you wilding out and it's like, nigga, if you don't like whatever it might be, but like we can have that conversation.
But I also too think, like Brandon, it's about, this is something that I tell couples quite often, is if you're not taking responsibility for yourself, don't expect the other person to do what you're needing or wanting them to do. And so it's more so, am I as the man or am I as the woman approaching my partner in the way I would expect respectfully approach them? Like, if they're tripping, am I saying, nah, bro, you tripping? Like, you gotta go, you crazy, you gotta go see somebody, you need help. That's defense right there. Like, that's automatic language of, I'm not listening to shit you're saying because you just pretty much called me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it kind of goes back to like I statements, like basic I statements, like, hey, I felt really uncomfortable when you were talking like that. Could
You
we
feel
maybe?
uncomfortable? Nigga,
Yep,
put your skirt up.
sure do feel uncomfortable. But that's the thing, is like, I feel uncomfortable. Okay, take off your skirt. Well, that's my reaction. Like, okay, well, if you feel like my discomfort equals wearing a skirt, I don't know what else to say,
Are you
because
speaking as a man right now? Or are you talking to
Yeah.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say other than I can tell you how I feel when a behavior happens.
All right,
And
you got it.
people think,
That's what it
like,
sound like.
but people think like that's weird to talk that way. At first it
But
is.
they haven't practiced it.
Right,
Well,
but you have to keep practicing it, and eventually you'll learn, like, either this person is catching on because they're doing their own work and they're able to communicate better and understand themselves in these situations too, or maybe this person isn't for me because they're not catching on, they're not wanting to be better at communicating, they're not wanting to be better internally for our relationship or our marriage to work. So I think it's really about, you're going to therapy, but you're building your emotional IQ. You're building your ability to communicate better because you understand your own emotions. And now you can understand and make room for your partner's emotions.
And I would also add to that, a lot of times we want to have these conversations when emotions are high and people are angry. I always say if you see something that is not liking to you, to have that conversation when y'all are both calm, right? So I'm not going to engage in this fight right now, but once we both come to a level playing field, I'm going to come to you and I'm going to say, hey, that situation that we just had a few hours ago, I didn't really appreciate that because X, Y, and Z, right? But I think a lot of times we like to have that conversation when we're already having a heightened emotion, and so it don't go anywhere. So that would be my advice on how to address women when it comes to, like, calling them out on stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the conversation definitely needs to happen like when things are good. You know what I'm saying? Like that's in my opinion, I feel like that's part of like the courting phase. When you get to know each other, the icks and things like hey, how can I bring up a grievance to you? How do you prefer I step to you like that? Are you somebody who needs to solve the problem right here immediately? Do you need time? How much time? What do we say to kind of let you know, like, hey, time out? the rules of engagement type shit that everyone agrees to. And if everyone agrees to it and then someone violates, you be like, hey, this you violating the rule.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to ask. So I kind of asked that for the women, but I want to ask the men, right?
Mhm.
Because it's about men's mental health, and I guess, having better mental health is a little bit of being able to be vulnerable, right? Being in tune
Mhm.
with our emotions, being in tune with our feelings. What do we need? Terry T, man, start us out. What do we need from women in order to be more vulnerable?
Hmm, that's a good question. I think everybody's depending on the guy who you asked, where they're at, what their capacity is, you'll get a different answer.
Mm.
Because if they don't have much capacity, Dr. K said something earlier that was a real bar, and it was talking about if you're not in a position where you're working on your own healing journey, you're getting the therapy that you need, then you're still going to seek unhealthy ways of dealing with the other person. So what I might need when I just found out how to work on coping skills and develop emotional regulation, uh, maturity is going to look a lot different than what I need when I am just not even in therapy at all, right? So if I'm looking at life and I'm looking at relationships through an unhealed lens, then I'm going to go seek things in that person to fulfill that unhealed part of me.
Yep.
I've been on this healing journey and I'm working on myself and I'm learning things that I need to be accountable for. Then what I'm going to ask from my woman is going to be something that we can build on together and not something that's going to pacify my unhealedness. Does that make sense?
Hell yeah, man. Talk that shit. That makes a lot of sense. Yes. I need play that back. Clip it
I'm
up.
not wearing no shoes, but if I was, I would throw it at you.
Yeah.
This is the second
Like so many
episode you would have hit me with a shoe. We got to discuss this.
so many people need to hear that, man. That's a fact.
But I think one of the things that we have to acknowledge, though, is we were talking about therapy earlier, and what does it take for a black man to see and what some of the patterns. I think there's been a shift in self-awareness and agency with the younger people now. I think they're rejecting a lot of the stuff that's been given to them, a lot of toxic stuff, and I think there's a lot of many younger black men, I think from the ages of maybe it's 18 up to 35, that are actively rejecting the stigma that we didn't have a choice but to accept, right? And so they're reframing therapy a lot differently. And so what you're seeing is a lot of, I mean, although it's on social media and some of the other spaces, but you're seeing a lot more younger people, younger black men that are starting to describe therapy as a lot more healthy maintenance strategy type of way of dealing with things and not just treatment because I'm sick or I'm broken, right?
Yep.
Facts.
If
And
we
they
have
they show up too, Terry.
They do show up.
They
They
show
be
up. I
pulling
have
up.
several.
They pull up on their own. You know what I'm saying? Not oh, my girl told me to do it,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
they be like, hey, I pulled up
Hey,
because
like, I
I
wanted to come.
go
I
to
was
the doctor.
feeling
You know
getting
what I mean?
stressed. I'm here. Yeah, because when I think of the older men, you know what I'm saying. It's usually like my best friend told me.
Mm-hmm.
My wife, we've been talking about. It's like they were encouraged by someone else, but these young folks are just like in their early 20s. They just like, yeah, man. I was feeling whatever. I need to talk to somebody. Oh, Brandon. Before I go, I got to go in a couple of minutes, man. But this is wonderful. But Brandon, what from you? What do you need? I guess what do we need
Um,
from a woman?
I would say, one of the things I would say that we need is kind of like a understanding. So like understanding that like we are also human, that we are also having a human experience, and also what we're feeling, what we're thinking, could possibly not have anything to do with you. You know what I mean? Like, don't immediately take. So if I come to you like, "Hey, I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling a type of way," it don't mean you did something wrong. It don't mean this is about you. And I think Rose work on the other side as well, because I am guilty of this as well. When my wife comes to me saying, "This is how I'm feeling," she just venting. I'm like, "Shit, what did I do wrong?" But yeah, I think there is a lot of one of the things I was surprised about learning as an adult and interacting with other women in like a friendly capacity is like recognizing that like they don't know that men go through shit too, for real, like internally, and that they actually go through things, and then having that ability to express it. Like they're like kind of surprised that like not only do they go through things which they may recognize, but the fact that like they can and will express it. And I think that having that understanding that men do go through shit. When men have worries, concerns, anxieties, and things of that nature, and they don't, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you. So all you got to really do is just listen. Just like you want men to listen to you, like you don't want them to solve your problem immediately when you bringing them something. Same thing on the other side.
I think you put it so much better than I would have, because I honestly was gonna just be like, I just need you to listen, right? But the way he wrapped it up and put it all together, and then he dropped that listen at the end,
Mm-hmm. Let's listen. Listen to
man,
this track.
listen, I had a great time, guys.
Validation.
But I gotta go. This has been
Because
amazing.
you got to be a father and shit.
Yeah, I gotta be a father. Sometimes as men, we gotta show up as fathers too. That's very
Not
important.
sometimes.
Well, all the time, but it's a
I'm
lot of
just
men that
kidding.
don't. Let's keep it 100. It's a lot of men that don't show up as
Don't
fathers.
be late.
I'm about to go get my kids from school.
Don't be
Y'all
late.
enjoy.
Hey, I love that for you, brother. I
Yeah.
love that for you.
Peace out.
He don't know how to get off. Oh.
Okay.
He's about to have us on while he picking the kids up.
I got somebody in chat asking how can someone tell me what's going on here? Hey, these are just we're therapists, licensed therapists, and we just have a conversation about mental health, specifically in regards to Black men and what men go through. How can they be vulnerable? What do they need? Things of that nature. Hope that answers your question. Isla, Mackenzie.
Man, if she doesn't know what's going on, she can always wind it back.
Yeah.
We're having a great conversation about how we can, as Black and brown people, how we can become better versions of ourselves. We're speaking specifically about some of the Black men issues and some of the stuff that we're seeing in our communities. And if you're on here, obviously you're here to learn, and so we're happy that you're in the chat. But we're going to keep this going. We're going to keep this flowing. And one of the things we were talking about.
Follow us. That's why.
Say what?
They
They
just
follow us.
Oh yeah, they follow the channel.
Yeah.
I don't know whose channel, but appreciate you.
Love
Tell
it.
your friends and family.
Love it. One of the questions I wanted to throw out there with just a couple minutes that we have is I just talked about not too long ago about the patterns that we're seeing in the young people that are seeking therapy now. They're rejecting a lot of the stigmas. So my question to the group now is, what patterns are you seeing amongst Black men seeking therapy? Because we all have practices. We are seeing men. What are the patterns that you're seeing amongst the men who are seeking therapy?
I can speak to that real quick. A lot of the pattern I noticed, they come and they just want to be like better, like them, and in relation to like the roles they play for other people. So like I want to be me, so I can be a better father, so I can be a better spouse, a better husband. That's the main one. So especially most of the Black men I see are in relationship or like in serious relationship or seeking it. So a lot of them is like, yeah, I'm just trying to improve myself as a man so I can be a better, husband, be a better father, that type of thing.
Okay. That's awesome.
Interesting.
Doctor, do you have any men in your client list?
I have one, and I think I have a few, maybe.
Not I have one, I have a few.
She went from one to
Few and then maybe. Hey, sometimes they show up and they, they tan. Sometimes they white.
So
chartreuse.
when I do have Black men though, one of the things that I've noticed, and we kind of talked about it here, is the struggle between relationships, right? Like how do you build, or how do you set boundaries with, like, for example, a child's mother, and how do you set the boundaries of like, hey, I need a partnership and not full like fiscal responsibility for a child that we made together, or like things like that. But also how to not repeat the same cycles that they've seen before, or like the familial cycles that they've been through. So that's typically what I see when it comes to the Black men that I've experienced in my practice.
Good
That's
stuff.
right.
Dr. K, I know for a fact you got some men.
So, full disclosure, I stopped seeing clients a while ago. Um,
What?
Mostly because admin stuff is just on 20 in a good way. But for a while, I was only seeing one client, and that one client happened to be a Black male. But I think most of the time, if I'm being honest, most of the Black men come thinking one thing, and after some time, it becomes very apparent that they have been kind of like tunnel vision. And it kind of goes to what Brandon was saying, like, I'm coming here because I want to be a better father. But then I'm like, okay, we got to go back through the tunnel, bruh, because being a better father is great. And I want that for you too. But how did we even get here? And so it's a lot of backtracking that is having to be, helped, right? Like it's providing that safe space for them to be vulnerable, to talk about the things that maybe they've not even thought about that could be impacting how they're, showing up in their lives right now. Because it then goes back to, I'm good, you're good, like, you're not. And that's okay to not be, and to try to figure out why you're not. And so I think Black men initially come to therapy thinking one thing. And most of the time it's very surface level. Like top of the iceberg that's outside of the water.
Mm-hmm.
And then having to get them to even go like right below the surface where we can't, like you can kind of see the iceberg through the water. Like even trying to get them there sometimes it's like difficult, but once they're there, it's like the floodgates open and they start to really understand from a different perspective of it's okay to be here for you. Not because like you don't have to come in here and give the robotic answer of I want to be a better father.
Yeah.
Because that's just part of it.
That's real shit. It's only,
Yeah, it is.
only one hat you wearing.
I think that she just dropped some heaviness right there too. I mean, because I think that for a lot of men, they, like you said, they come in here trying to reinforce the performative roles that they've already been operating in, right? And then you have conversations with them, and then they understand, like, I'm a person before I'm a father. I'm a
Yes.
person before I'm a husband. I'm a person before I could even be a great leader or co-worker or in those other spaces.
Yep.
And I think as a man, as we all know, there's just a lot of men who are in spaces that only require them to be there performative, so they lose their identity.
Yep.
So then they lose their identity, and then they go into these spaces that reinforce that you need to do this much harder. So then they come to therapy and see us, and then they want us to reinforce it as well.
Or
Right.
it gives them an identity, right?
Yeah.
Like now all of a sudden I have this labeled role, like I am a father, and now that's my main focus. Instead of like, who am I as an individual, and then who am I as a father? I think
That's
a lot of times, like Black men, they relish in purpose, and until they find that purpose, it's kind of this like, oh, I'm a Black man, like navigating the world in the ways that I can. And then once I have this label and this role to fulfill, now I can focus on fulfilling that and being, the best husband, the best coworker, the best partner, the whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because now there's that purpose behind living, or like not living, but like being, right? Whereas a lot of times Black men and brown men, their purpose isn't solidified in themselves, it's solidified in how they provide or what they do for others in terms of financial gain, or leading spiritually, like you're the spiritual leader of the family, you're supposed to be teaching your family about God, or until they get that role, their lives are kind of like waiting. And then they come to therapy and that role is messed up somehow.
Can we talk about one of the things that happens to men when they actually start forming their identity outside of the roles that they perform in? What I've noticed is, and I'm gonna throw this out there to you guys. I don't even know how I'm gonna formulate this as a question, but what I've seen is some of the men that get pushed into these spaces by women, by their families, by whoever, to resolve this issue that they have. Once they get in here and they start working on these things and they start forming a more healthy self identity, it creates conflicts in some of these relationships where the other partner wanted them to come fix X, but they realize that there's a more unhealthy space that they've been operating in. Can you guys speak a little bit to that? Or did I cook it all up and then expect you guys to come?
Let other people talk. Baby, I could talk all day about this.
You did pretty good. You did pretty good on that one. Yeah. It's always it's interesting, especially I'm coming in for in regards to like a relationship. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? There's some issues there. I'm trying to, be better so I can change, so I can be better within the relationship. And then sometimes that change means that like, hey, you got some boundaries that you need to start putting up, my guy. There's some conversations that you've been avoiding, my guy. Like some hard conversations that you've been having that you got to have. And it's been interesting coming back and I'm like, oh yeah, we had this conversation and these things change. Luckily enough, I haven't had anyone it was like an end of a relationship, but more just like relationship is a little bit better now. It's better now. We're having a better time now. It's making more sense now. And so, yeah, that I'm for sure happens frequently.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not alone.
Yeah, it's like this. It's if you think about it in terms of addiction, right? Like somebody who's an addict goes to rehab, they come back and they're not doing the same things they used to, even though their family was like, we need you to stop doing all that. They come back and then the family's so used to the chaos and the conflict, they start treating the addict like an addict, even though the addict has changed their behavior. It's the same thing in relationships. Like people want to change, people want you to change. And then when you change, they don't know how to react because they haven't done their own work and how to respond to your change. So it's very much so like people have to stop pretending like once you get married, you are one. You're not. Nobody just morphed into one person. And the thing that happened was y'all signed some documents. That's what happened. You're still an individual. You still have things to work on. You will continuously have things to work on. And if you don't do so, you will get your ass left behind in a marriage. Point blank, period. Whether that means physically or emotionally or mentally, you will find yourself behind. Yeah, and unless you want to keep up, you're going to have to start paying attention to yourself so that your partner has space to pay attention to themselves, and therefore y'all can be on the same page in your lives and hopefully retire in Santorini, Greece.
Santorini, nah. South America.
Dr. T, you give us some wisdom on it. You might be the last one. I know our time is near.
Yeah, it is. Listen, this is not a topic that I can really talk about. But what I always encourage is if one person in a relationship is in therapy, both of y'all need to be in therapy. And Dr. K just told you why. And don't go to, listen, it's not going to help you to go to couples counseling if only one person is in individual therapy.
OMG. Say that again. Just say it real slow.
We're going to put this up. Say it again.
Your couples therapist is not your individual therapist. You both need individual therapy.
And don't start with couples. Go to individual first.
Yes. So
Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you if you've been an individual, because nothing that you come to the couples session with, we don't do individual with the other person there. That's not what this is.
Triggered her.
that
I
is
sure did. Let me calm down.
She really fell away.
my contribution to this relationship question, because that is not beneficial, and you will more than likely end couples therapy not together.
Facts. Facts. Yeah.
Look, and I'll tell you, the therapists aren't supposed to say like, "Oh, you should leave. You shouldn't work." Don't do that, because I'll tell you real quick. If y'all don't get it together individually, don't even bother.
Just seeing it here. I
Period.
mean,
Love you.
we don't.
Love you.
We sometimes tell our clients that, but I will say that's probably the benefit of having a Black therapist. Most of the time, we're not going to be around to be for you.
But we have, part of the language, part of the lexicon is being able to communicate without saying the words. You ain't got to say you should leave this person. I mean, there's ways to communicate that without having to be like, hey, but they're like, what?
Maybe you should think about how that person treats you on a daily basis and think if that's how you want to live the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
It's like, if you woke up, you know what I'm saying, can you do this every day for the next till you die? All right.
All right, then.
I missed you, Dr. K. I missed you.
And remember, if you were watching this, we are therapists, but we are not your therapists. So
That's her.
Big facts. Big facts.
take this information to your therapist.
We don't know you niggas, so don't be acting like you know us. So I'm saying, like, for real.
All right, now they cutting up. Terry,
Okay. So, all right. All right. So today was about making space because too many Black men are expected to carry everything while saying very little. Right. We hope that our conversation like this remind us that strength isn't measured by how much we suppress. It's measured by our willingness to be honest, to seek support, and to create space for one another. So Black men's mental health deserves our attention. And although this isn't June, it needs it every day. So if we're going to close out on that, I'm Terry, wishing you guys a blessed weekend, until we see you again next month.
see y'all next time.